Oh yeah, so hi everyone. Like Jess said, my name's Sawyer. I have been released from the basement where I normally work to come and talk to you guys. Now I imagine everyone here recognizes that guy right over there.
Burning.
But I bet you nobody recognizes that. But fun fact, that's the same person. I mean, Zozobra really needs no introduction if you're from Santa Fe or you've come to Santa Fe often. He just is Santa Fe in a lot of ways. We're called the city different for a reason, and that's Exhibit A. So he is just such a Santa Fe phenomenon that I don't even think he could happen anywhere else. But the story of how that came to happen is almost as odd and strange and fascinating as the 50-foot tall puppet himself, because he's the brainchild of a guy named Will Shuster, who is he wasn't born here, he wasn't from here, he's from Philadelphia, born in November of 1893. He was called up to serve in World War I. He was always a tinkerer. The funniest story I found of it is he liked radios and all these other things, and when he was a kid, him and his friends decided it'd be a good idea to build a radio controlled cannon. Yeah, exactly. And the funniest part is it worked. And it blew a hole in his parents' roof. So, he I think that kind of just shows what he was. And like I said, he called up to serve in World War I. And while he was in France, he suffered a gas attack, mustard gas, in the Meuse-Argonne offensive. It wasn't actually like direct hit. They had taken precautions, but the next day, because of the weather, it reactivated everything that was on the ground, and they weren't like gas masks or anything, and that's what caused him to get late. Once he came back, he discovered that he had a pulmonary tuberculosis, and it dang near killed him. He was told basically by like 1920 by his doctor at the time, if you stay here, you're gonna live maybe a year. But he was told if he moved out west into the drier climate, he could seek to die of it. And I quote, I have a chance of snake bite, old age, or bad whiskey. So you can, and we know what choice he picked. He moved out here by 1921. He was always kind of an artist, as only the tinkerer. So he fell in with the kind of sort of slowly growing artist crowd that was out here. It wasn't anything like it is now, of course. Back then he was part of this group called like Los Cinco Pintores, the Five Painters, but everybody else called them Five Nuts in a Hut. Yeah, so and from the Five Nuts in a Hut, or at least one of them, came, Zozobra, if you want. Go for it. Yeah. What and what happened is actually really funny because, and I need to actually give the Kiwanis club for this. Basically, by 1923, he's thinking they're all Shuster, as everybody called him, was thinking, you know, Santa Fe Fiesta is getting very dull and commercialized, which is fully ironic considering what Zozobra is now. But you know, he in fact jumped briefly ahead. He called the first burning a protest fiesta. And what happened is in the winter of 1923, him and his friends are sitting over at the restaurant at the La Fonda, and he has them write down everything that's kind of worried them, everything, all their troubles, and then on just like scrap paper, and at the table in the restaurant, lights them on fire. This went as well as you expected, and they were promptly ejected from the establishment. And that was the start of what we would recognize as the gloom burning part of it. It is where it becomes, you know, giant marionette. He is looking for kind of a way to basically a vehicle to burn that doesn't get him blacklisted. He comes on. He comes upon this tradition of the Yaqui natives in Mexico, where they burn a effigy of Judas every Easter. And what happens is the two kind of combine, and like I have come to think of, the first one becomes like just made out of scrap lumber that he found, and he and his friends found kind of their houses, and paper mache, and as he talked about it, dipping everything in copper sulfate to make it burn green, and that went, and you know, effectively gassing himself again. You know, there's a reason he said that he never did the copper sulfate thing again. But so that's the first one in 1924. That's the first, and for the first 2 years, it's basically burnt on his property, which was up north. I'm blanking on the location, but I don't think it's even there anymore. But come 1926, you have that's the first public one, and that was that second photo. You then have in 1926 he makes a 15-foot tall one and actually burns it on the corner of Washington and Marcy, in other words, where we are now. And that was the beginning of what we would call Zozobra. Now, I do want to stop there briefly because what I would like to talk about something here is something that's really fascinated me, which is the myth of Zozobra. You know, we all know the story, like he lives up in the mountains, you know, feeding off our worries in the bad genealogy years, so we trick him down to Santa Fe so we can get rid of him, and you know that goes from there and the Gloomies and everything. But what I was wondering and I was trying to find is where did that come from? Because that's kind of a very specific myth, and I'm always fascinated by how stories grow and evolve and come to be. And what I have come up with is it does seem to be something that developed over time. It seems like Will Shuster had
had something of an idea of what he wanted, but it didn't grow. And I can't pin down a date, but if he asked me the ballpark, it would be after he gave up control to the Kiwanis Club, spoiler alert, in 1964. Basically, what I have kind of developed is, and what I found is that, so you've got Jacques Cartier, I'm not sure, who was the first fire dancer, who says that by 38, or like, in 38, that it needs more like kind of flair and some like, pageantry. So in the grand tradition of being told because it's your idea, he becomes the first fire dancer in 39, and we'll get to some of his stories later. By 1942, the Gloomies have shown up. They weren't there in any of the 30s burnings as far as I can tell, but there was always kind of like dancers around him. Like, it was very, it's hard to explain without getting into a deep kind of background, but it's very much, they're kind of like proto-Gloomies almost. They're like kind of like dancing, but they're dancing to him. Now, I found the script for the burning in 1945, and that is where you can start to see some of the pieces coming together. Basically, it's almost an afterthought. Because the whole thing is the entrada and like the presenting of the court, and then the last page is like Zozobra, and you see there's the fire dancers, the Gloomies, there's kids from the local Boy Scout troop like dressed as Spanish soldiers with torches. It's the way it reads is like, what I would compare it to is it's almost like a medieval kind of like, this is almost tonight's entertainment kind of thing. It's like, it comes off as the troops are capture this monster, and we need to destroy him so that we can properly celebrate. So that's, and as near as I can tell from the fragments I could find, because in grand fashion, a lot of this is just like in Will Schuster's head, and it's not written down. That seems to be what goes on through the 40s and 50s. It's the 60s where you start seeing the modern pageantry of he is like tricked down from the mountains, and then we capture him. He has his own plan, but that doesn't answer all the questions, because the pageantry was there as early as 1927. He had a group of native dancers who were supposed to come, and that was a whole kerfuffle. I'll get to it later. But there is some of this, like, well, with the natives, it's not so much you're like worshiping Zozobra, but there's like what I'll call the proto-Gloomies as early as 27 basically. So there is also, driving off the Glooms as we would recognize it, is there in 26 as well. So you have the question of, was he always going for this, or did it evolve? When I actually wrote my notes, I thought it was it had evolved, but the more I've looked at it since then, I actually think
think it's a bit of both. It's a mix of he had this idea, but he wasn't always sure how to develop it. And if I had to wager a guess, and it's always a dangerous thing if you're in his history, is well, welcome to being crucified. But there is my guess is he had this plan and just had never quite known how to portray, trade, or develop it. And he probably told the Kiwanis Club as late, when he passed the reigns over in '64, and that's when it was. And once you can put more brains to work on it, you can then kind of use this idea. Then you can start to unwrap the problems because the modern story as we know it is definitely they're in the 70s forward. So that's the long-winded way of explaining the rabbit hole I fell down in the process of doing this. Yeah, it's complex, and it's very much something that I would love to get more into if I ever have time, but we're gonna have to leave it there unfortunately. So short answer, best explanation. He had the plan to develop, but because he couldn't quite make it work, he developed it over time. Now, we also need to talk about how he's kind of evolved, from giant Nosferatu to giant buck teeth to the monster we all know and love and scream burn him at every Labor Day weekend. The first part is the magical moving height, as I like to call it. We all know him as the 50-foot monster. He was 40 feet for the better part of a decade in the 90s and early 2000s. But like I said, the first one burned like publicly was 15 foot. The first one burned at Shuster's house was like 6 foot. He oscillated between about 15 and 30 feet throughout the 30s. And of course, in the 40s, with the war on, he was like 8 foot tall once. Though I'm not wholly unconvinced that for a good portion of the early time frame of this, his height wasn't more like dictated by how much scrap wood his friends had. Yeah, that would be a very New Mexico way of doing things. Let this all be honest with ourselves. Now, we'll mention briefly. I don't have a photo of him because I'm trying to be fair to Shuster's legacy. But in 1944, Zozobra actually took on a very kind of caricaturish face of he was basically Hiro Tojo, and they call him Hiro Hitmus. Now that was something that everybody kind of felt. Well, Shuster especially expressed regret about it. So I don't like bringing up that as much as I have to. It's just a thing that happened. Unfortunately, you can't. There's no magic like go back and fix it button yet. God, wouldn't I love that? And over the years, I'll briefly mention this. I'll go back to this. Well, let's attack the. Should we go this way? Because like you guys said, Will Shuster handed the reins over to the Kiwanis Club in '64. He actually passed in '69. But what was interesting to me is when you look at it, his writings in every article he said like he is like frustrated with this thing. Like he wants to like hand it off to Zoe as the 50s, but in true parent fashion, nobody else can do it right. So he's got to do it himself. And it took until the Kiwanis Club, came on scene. Do the math on that. Yeah, so where who at this point have actually run it longer than Shuster did. Which I think speaks to them, really being able to do something right. So he chose well. But another interesting thing of this is just how much of a family affair this was and is still. I mean, there's been like five voices. There's been 3 fire dancers, and it's been tradition, especially for the fire dancers, to pick their successor. The voices are interesting. That's where it got a little bit weird. Wyatt Davis was the original voice. Sources vary on this. According to some, the early burnings, there was no voice. According to at least one I found Wyatt Davis was like in the back groaning in 1926 and going forward, presumably through like an actual megaphone and not like like anything fancy. But he was succeeded by Harold Gons in the 50s. Davis's voice just gave out in the post World War II. Gans is one of those people who prior to World War II, he had a couple of times just been like grabbed about the street and said, "Hey, help us stuff Zozobra," which is a trend that you'll see constantly even in Zozobra's history. And he was the voice up until 1998. Then his voice is going. He's getting older. He was a World War II vet, so he's getting up in years. He does train an apprentice, and it goes horribly. Like in 1998, it went so bad that like Gans is like brought back in '99. He is. So I say it did not go well. And there is another person in there. They do try a couple, and the current voice, of course, becomes William Parnell, who actually also has the exact same story of, when I was a kid, I helped stuff and make Zozobra. That is literally after the first, generation. That is just apparently that's like your, I guess, interview to become part of Zozobra, I guess, I don't know. But basically, and I will say one other thing on the early voices. According to one source, apparently the first the first one was quiet. Somebody makes a comment that doesn't seem right. So for the first couple, Will Shuster plays like like a recording of a lion through like a real tinny, like 45 record player or whatever he has, and was about just as bad if not worse. And that's when Wyatt Davis comes in. Now that was the only source I found that said that. Everything I've seen, especially older ones, KOAT, he actually quotes he's quiet, and then the lion sound. He in their special that always plays before the burning. I don't know what they're looking at. I didn't see those sources, but that's literally the only place I saw that made that claim. So just take that for what you will. The preponderance of the evidence I found was that Wyatt Davis was doing it as early as 26. Now, of course, you have to go to the what I call the funnest person of the whole thing, the fire dancer, and you've got. Oh yeah, we'll get to that later. By the way, but you've got Jacques Cartier, gets volunteered as the one who comes up with the idea of the fire dancer, and has a heck of a time with it. Let's just go with that. There's a couple of stories I can say, well, to quote Jacques Cartier himself, the damn thing nearly killed me about a half dozen times. Broken both of my ankles, thankfully not at once. So he was able to hobble away from the giant fireball that he is, dancing in front of. He was also the longest serving fire dancer and has the most stories. For example, there was a year where Shuster got this idea he's going to put like a circle of black powder around his base to make it look, fancy. And I can't. Let me actually. Yeah, it's he basically one of the sparks from him is like torch, or one of the sparks from something. Not only sets off the black powder that's around Zozobra, it sets off the powder barrel that's still there. Welcome to a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, and it goes, and Jacques escapes, and presumably has some choice words. Well, Shuster, probably in something involving, what the bleep did you just try to do to me? But despite all of that he's the longest serving fire dancer. He is from 38 until 1970. He's the fire dancer, at which point Chip Willenthal takes over, and he is it for the next 30 years. He's the first you could call like the Kiwanis era fire dancer. And one thing I can't really show, but I can explain is that all three dancers have their own style. Jacques Cartier is kind of this weird combo. He's very flary, but he's also very, you can tell there's no real set rehearsal for this, so he's just kind of making it up as he goes, and he's just a good enough dancer to make it work. Chip Willenthal kind of starts like that because he was trained and tutored by Cartier, but over the years, there's like a set choreography, and that's where. And if you look at some of the photos from the Chip Willenthal era and some of the videos I can find,
he gets a little more rigid through the years. It's like he was set up like he was used to this like freewheeling thing, and he didn't do as well under like having a core choreography. Now he made it work, but it wasn't quite the same. But of course, he's from 1970 to 2000, and that's when the current one. Or well, no, because his daughter takes it over. That's I knew who I was forgetting so late. But she's only there for a few years, and then in 2007 you get the current one, who her name is blanking on me, but she's the first like long-term female fire dancer, which is interesting to me, especially because all my life I just known the fire spirit is female. You know, it's just weird. It was one of those weird things of when I got into this. Oh, it's a guy all these years. But and there were a few like pitch-ins through the years. I found at least one telegram where Jacques Cartier couldn't make it one year, so they kind of had to like just get somebody. But beyond that, there is you know, there it was really those big four, if you want to call it that. And I will briefly mention the volunteers as well, because like I said, there is almost this like tradition. If you start, you just like 1 year help, and then suddenly you're in the Kiwanis club on a team. Like each single, and I didn't write down everyone's name, but each single like event coordinator has been vetted by the previous going back to Will Schuster, you know, vetting the first guy who was going to do it for Kiwanis. And it's very much like you know, I'd call it a family affair, but it's really a city affair. It's you get involved in this 1 or 2 years, and you're like just shoving, you know, Gloom into Zozobra, which like that's an interesting image, you know. But you get, and then eventually you kind of wind up back. If I'd have had the time, I would have interviewed a few of them and seen like what eventually brings you back to it. I just ran out of time and just whatever. But of course, you've got his, you know, like I said. Well, let's put it like this: you don't burn something for 100 years without things getting into interesting. Like I mentioned, the Jacques Cartier becoming Wile Coyote for a second, but there's plenty more where that came from, and I've just got a selection of my favorites I found. I'm going to go over, because these were where I think you start to see where Zozobra goes from just, it's a random thing that we do every year, to this is why it's like an event, and it's Santa Fe. Because to start with, in 1932, so you know, 6 years after the first like official burning, and there, I don't know if they're at Marcy yet, because they burned him here a couple times. They burned him behind city hall, and then eventually he got so big, it become such a big thing that they had to move him up to Port Marston, and that happened fairly quick. I mean, those steps are appearing in the 40s, and we all know those like steps and that like concrete like thing. But you know, in 1932, all of a sudden a few articles appear even in the Santa Fe, New Mexican, talking about strange monsters sighted in the North Valley. Did anyone here see the post that we were doing the past few weeks on Facebook? Yeah, because that was well, because those were where I got this inspiration. He gets seen by a farmer. He like sticks his hand in somebody's house, and somebody like chops his claw off. And finally, it gets so bad that the governor calls out the National Guard, and he's discovered in a cave over near Pecos, like stuck, and so they've got to get like a roads division, like steam shovel and dig him out. Of course, they get him drunk in like 66 gallons of ether first, and then they strap him into a flat car and ship him to Santa Fe. And they play these completely straight. Like it's people, like they are like the most flat. Like if somebody saw them now, they would think that they were real. I mean, unless you lived here, which might be like, oh, I know who that is. But yeah, and what's funny to me is not only that, but at the very last article, there's two telegrams, one from Hoover and one from FDR, and you can tell it looks an election year because Hoover is he says something to the effect of gradually issues on capturing the monster. Now the gloom is contained. Surely the economy, it will do better. Anybody else remember what was happening in 1932? And then FDR, I think FDR has just like flat out says we will need a new deal if we're supposed to beat Gloom yet. So I was able to find the article. I couldn't like reproduce it in full, but you could kind of tell which side the Santa Fe New Mexican was reading for, and I just thought that was amusing because this being an election year, two, it's proof that even Zozobra is not immune to, political ads, basically. And of course, there's more than just that. Like 1 year you had he was burned on the corner where the New Mexico State Museum is, and Will Shuster in his infinite wisdom decides that there's going to be, that he'll just stand there, again his friends will stand there dressed as a clown with like squirt bottles to put the fire out, and by the end of it they're squirting more water on the crowd than they are on the burning thing in the middle of the tinderbox city, It's like, we're in the desert, Will, you might want to think about this quick. That one, well, I won't say that just because I don't, just because I couldn't prove this, but yeah, So Chester himself has got a lot of stories. Like I mentioned, he was always trying to give this away to somebody because this was his big anxiety pre-fiesta, but it's also his child effectively. So he keeps trying to give it to people, but they don't do it right. So he's still stuck within there. There's an amusing article from like the New Mexico magazine in I think '66, written by Tony Hillerman of all people that talks about this because he rattles off about 6 at different times and tried to have somebody else do it and could not for the life of him find somebody that made it work to his satisfaction. But there is also, for instance, his story of the second burning. There was supposed to be a troupe of dancers that came in, and but it was raining that night, and they didn't show. So he just asked this one group of natives from one of the pueblos up north, hey, can you dance for us in front of this? And a few of them don't want to. One group says yes, and so of course they light it and it goes. And once the group starts dancing, everybody suddenly sees, oh hey, they're committing publicity. So every other group there runs up and starts dancing with them, and it's almost like some kind of like dance. It's off Burning of Zozobra or something. It's just the image of that will forever amuse me. But of course, my personal favorite is one of the quickest. It's they get through the whole thing, the whole like script, and then they realize we don't have a lighter. It's I think it's exact words or something to the effect of 30,000 people here. Zozobra's ready, and we don't have any way to light the darn thing. And so he has to go out, get into the crowd, and find somebody who's smoking, and be like, "Hey, can I borrow your Bic or something? Like just quick." And he was of course burned on schedule that year, presumably with the guy whose lighter he borrowed none the wiser. Now, yeah, Now, I mentioned that photo of the float briefly. Welcome to the other favorite story that I told my coworkers. They all know the minute I found it. In 1950, in late '49, the Santa Barbara, Santa Clara, whichever one does the Rose Bowl. Yeah. I should know that. My brain blanked. They invite Santa Fe to be a part of the 1950 Rose Bowl parade, and it's decided, even at this early date, Zozobra's Janai-Gacon, that he's going to be on a float. And his head is the front, they've got the ZM back, his mouth opens and closes. And it goes well. Why we're not still doing it is I don't know. But maybe if we all bought for City Hall far enough, they'll say yes. But the thing that hurt me, hurt me on like a cellular level, was when I saw what the actual program, the parade called it. Zozobra. 3 words. I'm just like, no.
You know, it is, and there's, you know, 100 other stories I could tell, but I just don't have time in the hour that God, you know, Kiwanis and a lot of the earlier, you know, publications for example, talk about it's never rained on Zozobra, which I would point out. It rained on the second one, so you know, I don't know what you're. I guess I just mean under them. And then I distinctly remember going to it in 2017, and it being a mud fest because it's raining in the middle of like everything, you know. So, funnily enough, they've dropped that line from all their publications. I think they've learned maybe don't summon it now. You know, don't speak these things into existence and have them happen. But in the last 10, 15 minutes, I do want to briefly talk about like what Zozobra is, because he's more than just like a story. He's more than just a history. You know, like I said in the story, he is Santa Fe. I have friends, because I'll just admit it, I wasn't born and raised here. I've got a family here, but even when I wasn't living here full time, I could talk about Santa Fe with my friends, and they would know who Zozobra was. It is. It's hard to put into words, but I'll try. You then have, you know, he's, you know, like I said, he's uniquely Santa Fe, and he's probably our most famous Santa Fe fan at this point. And because of just the weird combination of cultures, I don't think he could happen anywhere else. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I talked about how he was born because he was built to have this as a vehicle to burn, you know, will shut his friends like worries away. But he is, but there's a kernel of various other traditions and cultures in him too. You know, Catholic, Christian, dear God, pagan. I mean, you're burning a giant puppet. That's kind of on the nose. You know, but you can't. But he isn't tied to one of those things. In effect, he's just a blank slate that we all kind of write on and put our own spin on, because you can see the good versus evil in the Fire Dancer. You can see renewal and, you know, putting your worries away. You can even argue that you can see like absolution, religious sense in it, but like I said again, he's not any of those. I mean, he is. That's just each one of us applying our own personal worldview to him. He is. The way I would say it is he's incomplete. We've got to put that final piece into him, how it works for us, and that I think is why he's stayed as long as he has. As I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but other than something like, you know, Mardi Gras, you can't really talk. There's not that many like traditions that can be traced back going years these days, like Veterans Day, maybe, the like Thanksgiving parades, what, like 70 years old now? Now, that's a staying power. It's that we have got to put that final piece in, just like we have to, stuff our gloom inside it, so it's a tinder box can burn. And it's just, it's hard to explain, but when you're here and you see him, you who know. I found an article about this foreign exchange student who came in and was taken, and he said, afterwards, that was weird, but I love it. And yes, it is weird. I've tried to explain the backstory to friends, and people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't as normal out here as it is in Santa Fe. Yes, but because really, what he is, it's we've all got that kind of innate desire to want to start fresh, start anew, wipe the slate clean, fix everything, and because effectively he's become our literal and physical our literal and figurative puppet for doing that. We can't. But to close. Well, no. One last thought on that topic. Because one line that I found that I like was, he's a fairy tale of our own making. And he really, when you stop to think about it, he is. It's just, unfortunately, he's playing the bad guy. Well, fortunately for him, not for us as much. But I want to close out with a quote from the Tony Hillerman an article from 1960. And this is 1960. This is only like 36 years before after Zozobra had really become a thing, and really it was only 34 before he was publicly being burned. After 36 years, all Santa Fe knows has to be a Zozobra. If you don't burn your Old Man Gloom, he has to spin, who might not turn their autumn yellow on the mountains, and the winter will just be horrible. It will bring doom and gloom. It is, and that I think is like probably the best simple explanation I can give to people is that after a century, we've got to do this, or like maybe it's a talisman thing, we don't know, but like I said, it is that like kind of incomplete piece of, we all know, no matter what you believe or what happens on one Friday in August, we're gonna come together, and there's gonna be a giant fight above the Fort Marcy, and that's really that's a heck of a legacy to think when you think about it, and it will probably keep going another 100. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Yeah. Thank you guys. That's all I've got for you. I wish I could have gotten more into detail, but there's only so much that you can do with an hour-long talk, but the game you overcome. If I've been thinking you can hang out with a mate one for this, but unfortunately, that idea came to me like yesterday. So, you know.
Thank you, Sawyer.
Thank you.